Hey 49ers fans, Thomas Mott here for Chat Sports. Been a little bit since I got to talk to you guys. We got a lot of fresh 49ers rumors and news all for you guys right here. Let's dive right into our very first rumor, and this one revolves, yes, around Kyler Murray. Now, not the 49ers drafting Kyler Murray, but the implications, the impact of Murray possibly falling to the number 2 slot. So it's very important. I'll break it all down. What the Cardinals will do at number 1 is going to greatly impact the San Francisco 49ers. I've been told, and multiple people are reporting online, quote, it's not a done deal that Murray will be taken number 1. Now here's why this is very, very important. If Murray falls to number 2, if the Cardinals pass up on him and do not take Kyler Murray at 1, let's say they take Nick Bosa or Quinnen Williams, the 49ers are going to be in a prime spot to be trading back because teams are very, very interested in moving up for Kyler Murray. Now, here's the quote. This one's from Jay Glazer from Fox Sports. This is very, very interesting. Here's it up on the screen. Take a look. He says, if Kyler Murray, is still there at number 2, I see an absolute feeding frenzy from teams looking to trade all the way up for Murray. I don't just see him dropping past that, but man, if the Cardinals don't take him, that number 2 slot that the 49ers own would probably be the most sought-after slot in a long time. If we take what Jay Glazer just said, we break it down, he's 100% right, and this is very, very exciting for us as 49ers fans because he's saying a feeding frenzy, the most sought-after slot in a long time. That means that 1, there will be multiple calls up to number 2 if Murray's there, and 2, you're going to have teams basically engaged in a bidding war to try to get up to the 49ers slot, which means the 49ers could be getting a lot of compensation for the number 2 slot. Now, in a perfect world, you have a team like the Giants sitting at number 6 move up, so you only have to move back a couple of spots to 6 overall, so 2 from 2 all the way to 6. But then you get extra picks next year, extra picks maybe later in this year's draft. Overall, the Niners could get a lot of additional assets if they trade out of number 2. Quickly, here are the potential teams that could be looking to trade up to number 2 and take the 49ers spot if Kyler Murray is not there. Of course, the New York Football Giants are number 1. Will they sit at 6? They need a quarterback. If Murray falls to 2, look for the Giants to move up. Listen, the Bengals could really use a quarterback as well. Dolphins are sitting there in the teens. They definitely need a quarterback. Redskins, Alex Smith's hurt, so quarterback could be in tow for them. And I threw Denver on here as well. You never know what John Elway is going to do. I know they just traded for Joe Flacco, but I think you and I both agree Joe Flacco's not a long-term solution for Denver, so you could put the Broncos in there trading up as well. That all means these teams, maybe another team, could be interested in trading up to number 2 overall if Kyler Murray is not there. Now, it doesn't matter if Murray's taken number 1, but that's not a done deal yet. Not 100% that Kyler Murray will be a Cardinal. I think as Niner fans, we should hope he falls to number 2 because that creates a world of possibilities for our 49ers sitting there with number 2 overall pick. I want to know your guys' thoughts. Let's say this scenario happens. Jay Glazer's right. Murray falls to number 2. Would you want to trade out of number 2, or are you fine with staying at number 2 and taking the best defensive player available? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm very curious to see where you guys are thinking and where you guys are going to go for this one. Golden Nugget probability. Always talking about the Golden Nugget probability. The probability that Murray falls to 2, I'd put it at 3 Nuggets, right? 3 out of 5 on our probability meter. The probability of the Niners trading out of number 2, if he does fall, I would put at 4 or 5 Nuggets because I think that they are very interested in getting more picks, moving back just a little bit in the draft and getting more assets for future drafts. We'll see. Again, comment section. Go right now. Let me know down below. Moving on. Okay. Free agency, we know it's not technically over, but the Niners have done their moves and they've signed some players, and I like a lot of the moves that the Niners have done, but I wanted to come to you guys and just talk about who is still left available that the 49ers could potentially go out and get. So there's still plenty of guys unsigned. We know that free agency happened a couple weeks ago, and everyone went crazy signing all these different players, but technically, there are a lot of pretty decent, good pieces that you could fill your team with still left in free agency. Currently, the Niners have about $37.8 million in free cap space. That's still a ton of money. They could make a lot of moves with that. And it's kind of the bargain time. If you weren't one of the top free agents taken at the beginning of free agency, that means that your price probably has continued to go down, which means the Niners could be in the bargain shopping business and get some pretty good deals. So here's a list. 5 guys that are left on the board that the Niners could go out and sign. This is not a 1 through 5 ranking. These are just 5 potential guys that I think the Niners could look at. Number 1, Andy Levitre. He was the guard for the Falcons last year. Has some injury problems, but on the offensive line, I'd be all down for the Niners going and picking up Andy Levitre, putting him in there. Listen, you have to be able to protect Jimmy Garoppolo, and in today's NFL with offensive linemen and people getting injured all the time, having depth at the O-line position is very important. You could possibly go out and get a guy like Levitre. Number 2, Ziggy Ansah. We talked about him in previous videos. He's defensive end for the Lions, injury history as well, which we're seeing a little bit of a trend here, right? If you're injured in the past, you're probably not going to be signed at this point. But Ziggy could be a cheap option to throw into your defensive line rotation. And again, if the Cardinals trade out of number 2, it means they probably won't get Bosa or Quinnen, so you would like to add some more pass rushers into the mix on this team. And hey, even if they draft a really good pass rusher this year, which I think they're going to, regardless of if they're at 2 or 6 or 14, wherever they move to, throwing in additional rotational pass rushers to me is a totally okay and actually pretty good thing to do. Nick Perry, the defensive end for the Packers last year, that's another one. Possibly be a little bit cheap. Bring him in, rotate him in, and he could be a good pass rusher for the 49ers as well. Guess what? Another pass rusher, Shane Ray, the young defensive end from Denver. Denver really worked out there because, of course, they drafted Von Miller, but another young guy that the Falcons could look at, or excuse me, that the Niners could look at going forward, potentially bring in as a rotational pass rusher. Finally, a lot of you guys were going to comment this if I didn't put him on this list, so I wanted to get it out of the way now. Ndamukong Suh. I don't see a scenario where Ndamukong Suh would be an interest for the San Francisco 49ers. He's older. He didn't have, really besides the playoffs, that great a production, and yet he was still next to Aaron Donald, so you expected a big year from him in LA. Didn't really have it, in my opinion. He probably is going to cost too much. He's probably waiting for the best deal, and so I don't see this happening, but I know you guys, we like the big names, and Ndamukong Suh, if they could get him for a steal, sure. But odds are, don't get your hopes up for Ndamukong Suh. But what do you guys think? Who do you guys want of this list, or maybe there's some other free agents available that, hey, the Niners threw some money at him, you could bring him in and be a nice rotational player? I want to know. I read all the comments, so of course, let me know. Now, there's a rumor swirling around here that the 49ers could be interested in trading one of their running backs, is what I have been reading, what I have been told. There's, of course, potential the Niners could be shopping one of their 3 running backs to essentially get more draft picks for this year, as they really don't have that many draft picks. We talked about it in the past. 6 draft picks in 2019. Of course, you always want to have more draft picks, more young assets, and there are multiple teams in the NFL that could really use a running back. So, quickly, here is the 49ers' current running back roster. They, of course, signed Tevin Coleman in the offseason, arguably the best free agent running back in the offseason, in my opinion. I think it's a great pickup for the 49ers. They have Jerick McKinnon, and then, of course, Matt Breida. Breida is probably the one that they essentially could be shipping away here. I saw a lot of reports saying that Philadelphia, they need a running back, could be interested in signing Matt. So, the question then becomes, do we want to have a full-on running back by committee? 3 running backs here. Again, Coleman, McKinnon, and Matt. Or do you want to ship one of them off, pick up additional picks, or an additional pick, essentially, and then still go with 2 running backs? Tevin Coleman and Jerick McKinnon would be a great 1-2 punch for the San Francisco 49ers, but of course, Breida offers the young potential that, of course, all the 49er fans have seen as he's been a running back for the San Francisco 49ers. So it's basically up to you guys. The Golden Nugget probability here, I would put it at 4 Nuggets here that they will make a trade, and my guess would be one of these 3 running backs could be involved. I know, keeping all 3 sounds great, but when you look at it, how many teams really need 3 good running backs? A lot of them like 2, but 3 seems to be a stretch, and additional draft picks could be nice, so I'll put it at the Golden Nugget probability at 4 Nuggets. Hey, if we had to trade one of these 3 running backs, which one would you guys be okay with trading? Now, if you don't want to trade any of them, let me know. I'm curious. I'll read all the comments during the video. I want to gauge where the fans are at on here. Again, these are rumors. They're swirling around. Who knows? Maybe Kyle Shanahan would be totally down with keeping all 3 running backs. Sounds great to me, but at the same time, 3 running backs is a lot. You got to kind of balance carries out there, and I expect Tevin Coleman at least to be a very good, he could really be a 3-down back if you wanted him to be. So again, we'll see. I'm curious about your guys' thoughts in the comments section. Finally, this is kind of a what could have been segment here, because I know I sat up here at this desk for weeks giving you guys rumors about Odell Beckham, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell, and how there were real chances that the 49ers could sign all three of them, or two of them, or even just one of them. There were very, very, very probably strong rumors out there suggesting the Niners were going to get one of these three players, and I spoke about that at length. So, I wanted to go back in time and reveal to you that the 49ers did have interest, and they did make runs at both of these players. Now remember, 49ers started free agency, they had about $90 million in cap space, so the money was not a problem, and like I keep saying, it has been revealed to us from sources, and of course, even by the owner himself, that they were looking at and were close to signing both of them. Here's the first one, Le'Veon Bell. They were the second team. They were essentially Le'Veon Bell's second option behind the Jets. It was between the Jets and the 49ers. The Niners made a run at Le'Veon Bell, and it was reported they offered him a 3-year, $40 million deal. Now, of course, he took a 4-year, $52.5 million deal from the Jets. You can see why Bell went ahead and signed with the Jets. Now, he got a lot of money guaranteed from the Jets as well. We don't know what the Niners were offering for guaranteed money, and of course, that probably played into it, but they were option number 2. Remember Le'Veon Bell on Twitter? He said, so many options, where do I go? Rest assured, the Niners did make a run at Le'Veon Bell, but in the end, they weren't comfortable with giving him 4 years and, essentially $12 more million. And with their current running back situation, picking up Tevin Coleman, I'm okay with not signing Le'Veon Bell because didn't play all of last year, injury risk, production risk. I mean, it's just, I think the Niners did their diligence. They made a run at him at a number that they could afford. Le'Veon Bell said, nope, I'm going to go to New York for more money. Niners said, okay, not an issue, but they did make a run. The next one, Odell Beckham Jr. And here's essentially how this one went down. The Giants were in talks with the 49ers for Odell Beckham Jr., while they were in talks with the Browns as well. The Giants wanted the number 2 overall pick from the 49ers. The Niners said, okay, we could do the number 2 overall pick, but we need something in return. Like, we can't just do Odell for the number 2, because that's essentially the Giants winning that trade. And of course, the Giants were not, I guess they didn't offer enough, or the 49ers didn't like their counteroffer, but in the end, the best the Giants apparently could get was Cleveland's first-round pick, which I believe was 17 overall. So you can kind of see the value there. The Giants wanted the number 2 overall pick and settled for the number 17 overall pick. So yes, the talks were there. The 49ers were interested. We tried to go get a number 1 wide receiver. Ended up with Jordan Matthews, but still, that's beyond the point. But at least they tried, guys. Listen, this is something that every organization needs to do, especially when it comes to star players like Bell, Antonio Brown, and Odell Beckham Jr. You gotta at least make a phone call. You gotta at least pick up the phone, reach out to the Giants, reach out to the Steelers, or reach out to Le'Veon Bell's people and be like, hey, what are you looking at? What's the price? Here's what we can do. Because superstars don't change teams all that often. It's happening more and more these days, but overall, if you just pick up the phone, make a call, you never know who you can land. I know people are frustrated, and I know I would have loved to add Odell Beckham Jr. to Jimmy Garoppolo in this offense, but it didn't happen, and at least the Niners did their due diligence and didn't overspend on any of them as well. So what do you guys think? Are you guys okay? Are you still upset about it? What do you think of the overall offseason moves? Overall, I'm kind of a big fan of what they did. We get a little lost in not spending all of the money, but that's okay. I think the Niners did their due diligence, signed the right pieces. Now we look to the draft, and again, we talked about at the very beginning of the show, the number 2 overall pick. What a spot to be in for the 49ers. And again, we'll be here next week